Hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Aurora 4X C-Sharp Uncut Let's Play series. In today's episode, we're going to hopefully get our ground forces on the way, prepare and plan out our invasion of the Rackers, and go over our carrier doctrine and a few other things I want to be going over specifically. Now, I want to say thanks to guys on Discord. We've been discussing some things about the game at the moment, what our next plan should be, and if you guys are interested, you can in the description join the Discord, and if you want to become a member, you can join the channel. It's completely optional, but you do get access to special areas on Discord, and you can feel free to ask questions and get your name in the series and at the end of the episode. Now, to respond to a few comments, I have, and a few things, I have renamed quite a lot of stuff on the ships. I've also kind of done a bit of a 180 on the destroyers. So I decided that considering the situation, the guided missile destroyer would not be needed due to the fact that I will have access to the size 4. I'll have access to size 4 missiles. No, what am I trying to say? I'll have access to fighters, and they will have plenty of missile capability, so I don't really need that. But what I do need is some kind of point defense system if the enemy does close in. As such, I've developed the Aegis class guided missile destroyer, and I probably need to rename it. So that's probably what I'm going to do now. Is I'm going to rename this to a destroyer escort, because it does have access to missiles, but it's not got a great amount. So it has 15 Mark II Aegis defense guns. These can fire 60 rounds every 5 seconds, with an estimated hit chance versus our opponent's missiles of hitting about 10 missiles every 5 seconds, meaning that if we have 3 destroyers in our carrier group, we can destroy 30 missiles for point defense with our destroyers alone. They then have the Mark I lightweight naval gun. Both of these provide the ability to open fire against surface ships if they close in. These are 200mm cannons, 120,000 kilometer range, and they have a much slower rate of fire due to that. We then have the Mark II Firebird anti-sea and land missile launcher, or space and land missile launcher. These are 2 size 6 missiles, the same ones that were on the Helios. I renamed it to the Helios. It was the Newfoundland. And this allows us to fire our SLMs. It has a small magazine and also the SLMs. So it gives us utility if we need to fire large warheads towards a surface target. We also have our fire control here, of course, and then I've renamed these sensors accordingly. So these are based off the US Navy's way of kind of terminology for sensors. I'm just going off what I think works best for this. So I'm going to call this as active navigation sensor, space point defense 1, or space perimeter defense 1. Space perimeter. So active navigation sensor, space perimeter defense 1. And that allows us to obviously see targets, see enclosed targets, and the like. And that is the design of the Aegis class destroyer. Then we have the Senya class cruiser, named after one of the great supporters, in the comments. This is a anti-missile cruiser and also a sensor boat. It has access to the Mark I vertical launch system. I'm classifying a vertical launch system as 40 size 1 missile launchers. So there would be 2 of these. So I do a 2x2. If I had 2 or 80. So that's kind of how I'm going to look at it. So there's 40 launchers here. They fire every 10 seconds, and we haven't designed the AMMs just yet. Then we have the various sensors. As it's a sensor boat, it has access to various amounts of them. We have the active navigation space electromagnetic sensor, active navigation space thermal sensor, active navigation space perimeter defense sensor 2M to indicate that it is more advanced and also is for missiles. Active navigation sensor space perimeter sensor, and that is going to be 2B, and that is going to be for the 1114 million kilometer resolution range, which then supersedes our Flanders class survey ship, which we will not need anymore because we will have access to these cruisers. And then we have our super carrier, which I've obviously renamed, and we're going to go over real quick again. So we're not done with it inside the flag bridge and a few other things, but it has access to 28,000 tons worth of hangar deck capacity, 3,210 MSP space for magazines, plenty of maintenance supplies itself, intended deployment time 12 months. It's going to have its strike group, which I'll get to in a minute, and then we have also the sensors that are using one of the same sensors that's used on the other ships, and also the Aegis defense guns for defending ourselves. Now, I'm going to bring up a thing which I've been discussing in the Discord. This is a notepad page on all of our current plans for our doctrine as well as our destroyers. So, my plan is to have we're going to make carrier strike groups, and I want probably eventually multiple of them, but for now we're going to focus on just getting one out. The super carrier role provides significant power projection capability through fighter dominance. As the design does indicate, we are able to field up to 56 fighters on the ship alone that are capable of providing significant firepower to deal with enemies. Then we have the carrier air group, which is the air group used on the super carrier, giving us around the 98 kiloton total tonnage of the super carrier plus carrier air group. And the role of it is going to provide a flexible and powerful set of fighter wings and squadrons capable of dealing with a variety of situations. This has access to the standard strike group will be 36 strike fighters, which are the aardvarks, 12 interceptors, which I have yet to design. These will have railguns and will be beam fighters, 4 AWACS fighters, which will allow us to gain detection much further away from the carrier, and also see early warning, of course. 2 medevacs for any injured personnel on the field that we need to bring back, and then 2 EWACS class fighters, which are efficient/passive fighters, efficient/passive EWACS. Then we have guided missile cruisers. These are 30 kilotons in total tonnage, so 15 kilotons each, as we saw. The total cost is going to be 5,000 build points. They will provide a defensive and offensive missile coverage across multiple ranges while fulfilling an escort duty. So they provide a sensor net and also defending with anti-missile missiles, and also can deal with any fighters that close in using their AMMs as well. Then we have the Des-1 the Des-1 class, and that is going to be not Des-1 class, the Des-1 or Destroyer Squadron. It has 3 destroyers of the Aegis class. We may have only 2, and then maybe 1 Helios if I need the extra firepower. 30 kilotons in total space, so that's 10 kilotons each. 4,500 BP. Their point is to provide point defense fire as well as surface-to-surface close-in warfare capability. That's from the SLMs and the Size 6 missile launchers we have access to. Then we have the supply vessel, 40 kilotons, 3,300 BP. We've already designed this. This is to provide a fast resupply, refuel, and rearming ship that can support a carrier strike group for up to 1 year, as our deployment time for the entire group is a 1-year deployment. Then we have the landing space dock. The role of it is to provide instantaneous deployment of a marine expeditionary force, which we have yet to design, while having the utility to support said marine force with carrier, air support, as well as, or close air support, my bad, and boarding crafts. Another jump tender which we'll need down the road. Then I've kind of done some math and kind of looked at total costs for each of the individual ships and build costs and all that kind of stuff. So total BP cost for the entire strike group will be around 33,000 build points. It may be even more than that depending on how we calculate. So this means that these strike groups are not going to be cheap. We also have total operational fuel costs. So super carrier, Des-1 combined, and these are all the fuel that we will require. Total operational costs. So operational includes half the range to get to a place and then half the range to come back. That will be 16 million litres of fuel. One-way fuel cost, 8 million litres of fuel. And then estimated maintenance cost for 1 year of military deployment. So the super carrier will require 2,473 maintenance supplies over a 1-year span, while the logistics vehicle will require 1923 MSP, cruisers, Des-1, etc., with a total MSP cost of 7,718 MSP per year. I then calculated the indirect cost of minerals for maintenance. So that will cost us 1,795 tons of minerals, essentially, every time we take these guys out for a year. This entire strike group. The reason that I'm doing all this stuff is because I want to calculate how much we're going to need on bases, how the logistics is going to deal with it, what we will need to support a war effort. Think about it, right? If we're moving around constantly, we're going to need 32 million, 48 million, 64 million liters of fuel just to keep this entire group fully refueled during the course of a singular war. Okay. Now let's go back into the game. So, as I said at the start of the episode, I want to focus on ground force stuff and also designing some more fighters and things like that. So, now that we are closing in on getting ourselves, some extra, some new warships, I'm going to start thinking about some ground forces and also their ground force support or carrier air support or close air support, depending on how you want to define it. But before we do that, I do want to go over what's going to happen with our current fleet. So, as you may know, we currently have access to 2 carrier class Rice class carriers, 7 frigates of the Essex class, 10 Kent class frigates, a survey frigate for the Flanders, and 36 Block 1 aardvarks. What's going to happen with these guys is the carriers and the frigate's going to be reassigned to system defense duties or to frigate-specific squadrons for specialist purposes. The carriers are either going to be scrapped or put into defensive or carrier defense roles, such as securing supply lines or securing important systems. And the supply vessel will, of course, go back. The strike wings will likely have to be scrapped down, or they will just continue to serve out their period, even if they are outdated significantly. Okay, so now let's start thinking about some other things. So design-wise, there is a couple of fighters I actually want to make. So I'm going to make I want to make a close air support. That's really what I want to make. A dedicated CAS vehicle or vessel. So, close air support. There we go. So, the point of this is going to be to provide much more dedicated support. If we have a look at the aardvark class over here, I have put on fighter pod bays, as you can see. They also has box launchers, which can also load them as well. But the point of the actual pod sizes is to allow us to handle multi-purpose capabilities. But that doesn't allow us to be completely effective. So what we're going to design now is essentially going to be a bomber of some design. And this is going to go on our where is it? LAC, our Norfolk class landing craft assault carrier, which can carry 8,000 tons. So, let us design the craft accordingly. First thing that we're going to need to do is going to need to get rid of the engineering space, fuel storage, and bridge. Going to need to set its deployment time down to, let's do a 9-day deployment time. Then we're going to need to add in an engine and a few other things. So let me have a look. Let's first we're going to do a 250-ton craft. So we're going to go for an engine. Engine doesn't seem to matter really for close air support. So this is going to be a much slower vessel. So I'm going to go for a small 1 HS engine. And it's going to get boosted somewhat. So this is that actually makes that very slow, doesn't it? We'll go for a 125-ton engine then. So that'll give us our speed will be half that of a normal strike fighter. So let's have a look at our engines. There we go. So we add that in. Then we need to think about our pod bays. So we're going to go for missiles, not missile design. I want to go for pod bay launchers. And these will be able to contain the pods accordingly. We want generally pretty big ones. So that'll be 25 tons. So we have around 80 tons to play with. So I'm going to go for 2 size 20 fighter pod bays. And these will allow us to do a lot of firepower and spread out the damage. So we're going to go for 2 of them. Let me look at fire pod bay. There we go. So 2 size 20. There we go. So that will allow us to design size 20 pods. So we can do large missile cluster munition pods and other things like that. But then that also will allow us to refit and rechange things. So that is also something that could be concerning. I don't need as good as an engine as I have on here, to be honest. So I'm actually going to remove that engine and we're going to go for a much simpler engine here. We're going to go for a size 1. A size 1 engine, a 250% boost. So there we go, 31.25. And then I'm going to design that engine accordingly. So there we go. And then I'm going to continue to fit on these pods. So size, there we go. So we can do 3 pods, and this is essentially going to be a bomber. And that's actually one that we're going to rename this to. He is going to be bomber. Can I actually do that? Bomber, there we go. Class bomber, and we're going to rename the class to Fury class bomber. And that will allow us to have 3 fire pod bays on it. Then let's have a look at the ordnance we could design for that specifically. So let's look at an autocannon pod. If we did a size 20 pod, that would give us an armor penetration of 31 with a damage of 20, and that would do 3 shots. So we could definitely do a lot here, especially on bombardment pods. So we're going to wait a little bit on that before we continue. But what we can do is, while we do wait, is we can add in the size, 2 size 4s, which will then work out pretty well for us here. And then we can add in some fuel. There we go. And that gives us the Fury class bomber, which is much slower, but will work out pretty well. Actually, let's rename the class. My bad. Too close to air support. There we go. And I'm going to give it the autocannons. So these are the volcano autocannons. Just 2 of them, please. There we go. So those do 20 damage, but have 3 shots, and they're much smaller. And then we want the bombardment parts for the armor penetration capabilities against larger vessels for the cluster munitions. Essentially, that's what we're going to be designing. The next thing that I want to design is going to be a interceptor. So this will be in space. This will use railguns. So let's first off design the railgun, which we don't really need to worry about design, really speaking, but we kind of do. We're going to do a 10cm railgun. We're going to do 4 shots on it. So let's prototype that design. So that's 150 tons. Then I'm going to go for the power plant. So I'm going to need as much boost as possible on this. I'm going to need a 0. Small as possible. So that gives us a 0.67. Oh no, that's not even what I want. I want that. There we go. 0.5. There we go. I have a lot of stuff that I need to obsolete and change because otherwise it's getting pretty messy, I'll be honest. Then we need a beam fire control. We'll do single weapon, so it reduces the size of it. We want a tracking speed of 4x. And then I want a range of... we can do 1.5x. I think that'll be fine for now. So that gives us a 75-ton beam fire control. So the first thing we need to put on then is going to be the railgun. So let's do that. So add in the 10cm railgun. We need to remove the bridge, fuel storage, engineering space, and there we go. We'll also bring the deployment time down to 0.03. 0.01, in fact, that does better. Let's do beam fire control. I need one that's for single weapon target. There we go. This gives us quite a bit to play with in terms of engine and other things. Then we need a power plant. So we're going to need a PB3, so power boost of 3 there. So that gives us a 30-ton power plant. So that gives us how much to play with in terms of engine. About 200 tons for the engine, and then the rest can be for fuel. So we're going to need a engine size of 4. There we go. And let's give it a power boost of 125. Let's show next tech, actually. I'd like to see what we could design out of that. Because power boost 3 is going to be quite important in that regard. That gives us a 160 EP engine, but that's magnetoplasma, not what I want, so to speak. I want this, but it doesn't show it. 100%. So that gives us 115 kilometers per second. So I need something that's size 4.5. Size 5 would give us 62.5, but then that would give us a speed of that. So I need something that's... Yeah, I need like a speed of 4.3 HS, and then that would give us... Yeah, that would give us much more in terms of actual capability there. So we're looking at, we need 215 tons for what I want to design, which isn't out of the question here. I'm going to prototype this design. I'm not actually going to use it, but I just want to see if that would be capable enough in terms of tonnage space. No, we're going to need something slightly smaller here, or we could bring the weapon itself down a little bit. But that would then give us a tracking speed capability pretty damn high with a gas-cooled reactor. I'll have to think on this for now. We need better tech anyway before we can actually commit to doing any kind of railgun fighter, so let's hold off on that. Let us, though, have a look at our ground force situation. We had been designing our Marines. Were we done yet on that? That is my question. Let me have a look. And ground forces. We were waiting on... No, we were pretty much done for the Marines, so we can actually start designing them. So one thing that you guys do know about is obviously the Rackers. Now, the Rackers, they are extremely terrifying on ground combat, and they also have a forest mountain world, this world in particular. This is very, very terrifying to me, but we need to secure this world because the minerals on it could be extremely valuable. If we were to... So, because it's a forest mountain world, first off, I need to know what kind of forces they have. And two, I need to know... I'm probably guessing we'll need at least 6 times their forces to actually be able to take that planet. So, let's actually start designing some of our Marine stuff. First off, we're going to design the Marine Expeditionary Brigade. So, there we go, or MEB. And this is going to go, it's going to be a single formation that's 10 kilotons that's going to go on a... on the landing craft assault ship. So, first thing that we're going to need is we're going to need Marines. So, they have 6 tons. So, I'm going to bring up the calculator real quick. So, let's say we want to have 5,000 divided by 6. That gives us 833. What if we do 3,000 divided by 6? That gives us 500 men. I think that would work out fine for a brigade. So, we're going to go for 500 men. That's size 3, and that gives us 4,000 HP with a pretty decent cost. Then we're going to need to add in some other stuff. So first thing is the headquarters, of course. So that's going to be 50 tons. Then I want to add in the mortar teams, recon teams, all of that good stuff. So I'm going to add in... What would that be? I'm going to add in 5 of these for 300 tons, which will allow us to bring in a total of 30 support fighters. Or 5 ships for orbital support. Then I'm going to need... Oh, where is it? Mortar teams, HMG teams, so 28 tons. Let's get something that's nice and even, so 28 times, let's say we want 50 of these. That gives us 1,400 tons in HMG teams. So we'll do 50, so basically 10th. So 50, that gives us 1,000 tons worth of HMG. Oh, it's 20 tons, my bad. So that actually works out pretty well. Then I want, where is the mortar teams? So I want 50 of these. That gives us another 1,000 tons for the mortars. And then I want, where's the anti-vehicle? Did I not bring the anti-vehicle? I swear to God I brought the anti-vehicle. 80 teams. I guess we don't have good enough anti-vehicle there, so I don't really bother with it. That is unfortunate. Okay, then we're gonna bring some other stuff. The things that I'm gonna bring is gonna be these bisons and some crude anti-personnel. These will provide us HCAP. But I want the water buffaloes and also some towed artillery, long range bombardment. Oh, I screwed up long range bombardment. I have to obsolete that class. Turn SM on. Sort that out. Ground combat. Unit class design. I want... Yeah, unit class design. I want a static long range bombardment. And then we're going to go for LR62 towed howitzer. There we go. And then we're going to instant that once we give it a year designation, 2194. Instant, there we go, because it's all fair. Okay, now the main problem is going to be supply. We're going to have to design something for supply there, because if it's all contained in one brigade, we're going to need infantry capability for supply. But yeah, so we can add towed howitzers in, which will give us long-range bombardment capability. But that will require extra. So what we can do is we can have the Marine Expeditionary Brigade just be, I don't know, like 8 kilotons, something like that, and then we'll have like a Marine battery. Marine long range towed artillery battery. Okay. We'll give this FRMC, so FMC. And then we're going to give these guys, how many can we get into this? Let's have a look. So, towed howitzer 62. So, let's bring up the calculator again. 62 times, let's say we want 40. That gives us 248 tons. Times that by 2. 4960. So for that, 5,000. Which would be able to work out pretty damn well with that for the long-range bombardment capabilities. The question is, do we really want that? Do we really want a towed howitzer battalion for that? And I don't really think we do. I think that they're great. I just think that for what the job of the Marine Expeditionary Brigade is going to be, it's not really that important to me. What is important to me is going to be vehicles, likely. So, I'm going to increase this to 6,000 tons, and I'm going to do 4,000 tons of, we're going to do 2,000 tons of armored, and then a good, what would that be? 2,000 tons of logistics. So, I want 4,000, what would you call it? Yeah, so let's have a look at the Bison, HQ Buffalo, MAV. So medium anti-vehicle is really what we're after here. We've already got the H-cap, so we're looking at 44 tons. So 44 times 30 is 133. Times 50, we get 2,200 tons. What about times 40? That gives us 1,900 and... Okay. 1,760. So we're going to add in 40 of these buffaloes. So that will provide us with some very needed medium anti-vehicle. And we'll also provide some vehicle of our own. Then we're going to add in some water buffalo, no, some bisons, I think, probably. So let's go for, that's 32, right? So 32 times 40. That works. So we're going to add in 40 of these guys, and that gives us 1,800 or 1,600 tons to play for logistics. We have a total GSP cost per round of 2,375 for a full resupply, so that is going to need quite a bit. Okay, let's design that infantry. So we're going to go logistics module. We're going to go for FMC Marine supply team, and then we're going to go for 2194. There we go. Avoid combat, create. And so that'll be 50 tons. So that gives us 1,600 divided by 50. So that gives us a total capability of 32 logistics. So 32 times that by 500. That gives us 16,000 GSP. So if we divide that again by 2375, we get 6.7 combat rounds. So that would be 6.76. Yeah, let's do that again. It's like math time, guys. 6.7 times 8 hours. 53.6. That gives us what? 3 extra days of supply. Plus, inherently, we have 8 rounds of combat. And those 8 rounds provide 10 hours of supply, right? Or 80 hours. So this will be 60. So they can probably fight for about a week without further resupply. Okay. That works out for me, honestly. So let's get that design underway immediately. Let's go to ground combat. I also am researching mountain warfare capability so that we have a better chance of actually handling our opponents. So let's go for that and let's get the supply team. Let's actually start incrementing. We've spent about 31 minutes basically just talking and designing things. So let's actually start incrementing through some stuff. We complete construction of the Vulcane autocannons. Very, very nice. We can actually start loading those onto the Block 2 aardvarks and seeing how they fare. A mission I do have at the moment, though, is I want to, first off, I want to get a destroyer out, and I want to test out some SLMs on our opponents, as well as other missile capabilities. So I'm going to move over to the aardvark Block 2. No, I want to... What do I need for the design? Let me have a look. Aegis. We need the ion drive, fire control, and the reactor. So we're waiting mainly on power propulsion capabilities before we can move on to anything else. So let's get the reactor en route. And then also the fire control, which is going to still need to be researched. But yeah, I do want to send over a ship to assess the capabilities of the Rackers in general. Because that will be important. Complete research into FMC fire team. Very, very good. So now we can come over here. And I can add in infantry supply team. There we go. We can add to this. I'm going to add in 32 units, which gives us 1,600 tons. And then we have 10 size to play with. We don't want to go over or under because that's the amount of capacity that we actually have. So yeah, that gives us plenty of space here. And we've assigned quite a bit to vehicles, to be honest. So we have 40 right now, which is almost as many as like an light armored battalion would have. I need to add in something that can fill the gap here, realistically speaking. The problem with that is that there isn't something that's just easy to do so. What we can do, though, is I can remove 49, put this to 49. That gives us 70. And in that case, we actually can do something because I can add 505 Marines to here. And then we have a 10,000 ton. So there we go. That is going to be our Marine Expeditionary Brigade. It's a lot more capable than a lot of other forces, but it's a lot more expensive and it requires a lot more GSP. But it's a self-contained, fully able to supply itself unit with access to plenty of capabilities to defend itself. Now we're going to move on to the actual main force. So that's the Expeditionary Brigade. Now we're going to make actual battalions. So basically, the plan is to delegate the army to garrison duty and then delegate Marines to actually offensive. So Marine Infantry Battalion, FMC, and we're gonna designate this appropriately. So, I want probably what is that going to be 3,000, 500 men. That gives us 3,000 HS for infantry. And then we're also going to need headquarters, which is going to require us to get some stuff sorted out, isn't it? Headquarters, 5,000 tons. We're going to go for a FMC, Marine Battalion headquarters. Avoid combat, great. And the entire purpose, at the end of the day, the entire purpose of these ground forces is going to be going to be to handle the fact that, well, what am I trying to say? The entire point is going to be offensive, and they're going to be a lot more expensive than other contemporary stuff, so that is something that I need to be a little bit careful of. Let's get bombardment pods as well. We're researching other stuff, and that is looking good. Something that I do want to get done, so I don't forget on the next episode, is going to be to get the tugs to actually move out. So tug, fleets, JSS. I'm looking for the JSS. Remove last, remove last. Remove last, remove last, remove last. Let's go to Town City then. Yeah, tractor your ship. I need to release tractored ships there. Yeah, you can't do that because of reasons. We got maintenance facility 1600 tons from Rice, which is really nice. Now I'm going to have them handle, what else do I really want from this? Replenishment rate, salvage module, refueling code, ordnance transfer system. I guess you can just work on that. Over here we have this available. Did we complete access to ceramic composite? No, we did not. I'm going to put 6 laboratories into that. I'm going to remove some labs, and I'm going to add that to ceramic, because that's going to actually make a big space-saving deal for our carrier, so we could probably add even more stuff to it. Okay. A new research labs, that'll be done somewhat shortly. Just take about a month. So group alpha is done. That means that we can now begin stabilizing the XC55 Buddhist jump point. Ego's now terraformed. It's gonna be nearly terraformed fully now. We're just waiting for the water vapor to take effect, and then we can move the Cornwalls off, or not the Cornwalls, the Cheshires. Yeah, you're doing okay. You got a lot of stuff over here. Population's looking good. Population over here is also looking good. We have 100 construction factories even. Something that I'm actually going to use the industry for is not mines. I'm going to order them to produce ground force construction complexes. They'll be able to build 1 a year. So let's expand our capacity to 5 more, and they'll have that done by 21/201. Because if we can build a battalion's going to be 5,000 tons. If we can build said battalion in, let's say, 5,000, what would that be? Yeah, we could build a battalion in a year. That means that 10 is going to be 50,000 tons worth of it's 10 construction factories is going to be 50,000 tons worth of forces. So if we want to build 1,000,000 tons worth of forces, we would need, realistically speaking, we would need at least 10 years with 20, or 100 construction. We would need 200 construction, ground construction, to be able to build it in a year. So we're going to go for about 20, I think, and that will allow us to adequately be able to produce everything that we need. Battalion headquarters is now completed, so now we're going to design our battalion headquarters. This is going to be lowest. Infantry battalion is going to be lowest in the hierarchy. So let us add in the battalion headquarters. So we're going to add in one of those. Okay. Then I'm going to add in all of the other stuff. So that's going to be the medium machine gun teams, the HMGs, all that great stuff. So 50 of those. Then I want the where was it? I want more team. So that gives us 5,000 and that much. So actually the headquarters is the one thing actually stopping us here. Which is kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie with you. Let me edit the marine count down a little bit to 40980. What about 495? 495 gives us that much, so what about 494? 11 tons, 19 tons, 22. That's the problem here, is that's always going to cause us a pain in the ass. 601, it's the battalion headquarters is getting in the way of it. Yeah, it's the battalion headquarters, isn't it? 6, 9, 20, 34, 24, 36, 42, 48. There isn't an easy way to not cause issues with this. So, like, I don't know. what I could do is remove it down to 480, which then gives us 95. But there's always that extra 5 tons, isn't there? What if we do 55 here? That gives us 5,005. 54, that gives us, yeah, 15 tons. That's the problem, is everything goes down by that much, so it doesn't properly depreciate. 479, how about that? Will that work for us? I just want a nice even number. 50. That gives us 101 tons. So we're getting close. 6, 13, 19. There's always going to be that extra ton that's always sitting there, and this really annoys me a lot. Let's do 40. Then 40. That gives us what? 375. And let's bring up calculator. 375. 375 divided by 6 gives us 62.5. 375 divided by 20 gives us 18.75. So we're always going to have an issue with this, it looks like. So I'm just going to have to, I guess, soak it up and deal with the fact that this is just how it's going to have to be. Unless we were to remove... unless we were to remove the Marine Battalion headquarters, but yeah. That's just how, I guess that's just how it's got to be, unfortunately. So I'll have to account for that overhead in terms of some other stuff. But actually, dealing with that overhead will probably be more annoying. So we're going to go for 4,090. We're going to go for 495. Yeah, that'll work. We'll just leave the extra 5 tons, but that's going to be essentially 5,000 tons. Next, I'm going to make the Marine boarding platoon. This is going to be extremely small. It's going to have a lieutenant in it. Then it's going to have all of the boarding. So 240 divided by... Yeah, so we do 240 divided by 6. That gives us 40. So we're going to add 40 Marines into this platoon. So that gives us our boarding right there for the Marine boarding platoon. Once we build our boarding ship, but that's going to take obviously time. Then we're going to do towed artillery. This is going to be a battery, so I'm going to put it at 5,000 tons as well. So let us have a look at the actual capabilities that we're able to get from that. So let's do 4,500, divide that by 62. So 75, 62. That's a little bit of a problem, don't you think? Yeah. Let's do 3,000. No. Equal. We'll do 62. 62 times 3,100. 192. 3,100 divided by 62. How about that? That'll give us 50. So 50 howitzers. Which do 40 damage each, by the way, which is not, we're not messing around here. So that gives us that. Then I'm going to add in infantry and then also battalion headquarters. We'll just use the same one there. So we have a remaining total tonnage capability of, what is that going to be? 1,875. So 1,875, divide that by 6. That gives us 312. So we're going to put in 300 Marines. There we go. And that's going to allow for while defending our forces here if they do get broken through or whatever. And then also be able to soak the damage, and then they can be in reserve if we really need to move them up. But I'm not sure if that would be actually too useful. So I may move this to... What can we move this to? Like 60? 60, 80. Yeah, 80 works there. So with 80 guns... So 80, if we think about the amount of damage we can do theoretically with these weapons. So we have 80 howitzers. They all fire 8... where is it? Yeah, the howitzer all fires a total of 3 shots. So 80 times 3 is 240. Then we look at the amount of damage it can cause, so we times that by 40, right? Back, no, 240 times by 40. Oh, bloody, times by 40. That means that our singular 5,000 ton towed artillery battalion will be capable, if it hits, of doing 9,600 total damage every time they fire from 80. That's a lot. That is a lot. When you consider the fact that an infantry battalion has, like, this singular infantry battalion has, about 5,000 HP. That's a lot. So that's definitely something to consider. I'm gonna have to make a regiment as well here. So yeah, we'll go for a regiment. Let me have a look. We need a regimental HQ, so I want 4 battalions. We'll do 50 kilotons per, and then we'll have 2 towed artillery. No, we will need 25, 10k, 30. We'll do 40 kilotons. Should we do 40 kilotons? So that'll be 20 kilotons, 10 kilotons, 2 kilotons. So yeah, 40 kilotons. Right. Yep. So, infantry, regimental headquarters. We'll make this static because that gives us extra armor. If we compare it to infantry. Actually, it doesn't really, does it? Let's give it heavy powered infantry armor, though. That will help. We'll give it 40,000 tons. Infantry. FMC. Infantry regiment headquarters. 2194. Avoid combat. Create. Create 40,000 tons. There we go. And that'll take quite a bit of development time to actually get that sorted out for us, though. And in the meantime, I'm going to produce 2 Marine Expeditionary Brigades, first off. And then also we're going to produce 2 light towed artillery battalions. So yeah, that'll take a little bit of time to produce. Now, in terms of the LCLA, we'll have that done somewhat shortly as well. So we'll be able to see a few things with that. Something that I do want to do, though, is obviously get the headquarters finished and researched. So let us do that. So infantry regiment headquarters. I need a ground combat person. There we go. And that will take us, how long will that take us? That'll take us until May. Okay. So we have a couple of months before we can do that. The area itself requires new orders, so let's have you go through the jump point that you found. I discovered the new star system of Aurora Libre. Oh yes, also I did manage to sort out the galaxy map to make it look a little bit nicer. So as you can see, we have Tau Ceti over here, we have Sirius over here. This is where Shooter 2008 is. We definitely want to start thinking about colonizing through that point. And then we have Greenbridge over here with the nasty aliens. The galactic map has really expanded. We have a total of 41 systems out of like 1,000 plus, so that's a lot. The Paula Diaz, let's go through Ro Libre there. And now we're just waiting to increment for research. And getting a few other things done. In terms of our sensors and fire controls, it's going to take quite a bit here before we get everything, but hopefully it should be easy enough. But yeah, beam fire control is completed, which is really, really nice. Something else I also want to look at is if we have a look at commanders. I want to see, yeah, we have there should be some awards here. Ooh, that person had quite a few awards. So, destroyed 10,000 tons of military shipping, destroyed a hostile enemy ship. Captain Kieran Day, currently unassigned, so was originally in command of the fighter Aardvark 005, but was, I presume, promoted. Yeah, you were promoted from your position due to your excellent service in destroying the Adroit Precursor 16902. And you've served very, very well for us. We can probably have a look and find a few more. You over here, you stabilized the jump point. A lot of ground combat capability kills here. You, though, you are Stephanie Raman, captain. You destroyed the Arrow. You were awarded Hunter. Then you were relieved from your command, and you were promoted to the rank of commander from lieutenant commander. Then you are promoted to the rank of captain, and you're currently unassigned. We have a lot of captains just lying around right now who require commissions. And then we can go through all the medals here, as you can see, and we can kind of see. You discovered a new star system. Are you in command currently? No, you are not. Now, if we have a look at our lieutenant commanders, we have 150 of them. We have so many commanders. We can have a look at these ranks. There should be some here, I would think, who've been promoted or demoted. Yeah, you destroyed hostile ground targets. I presume you were in command. Where was it? Yeah, you were in command of the Aurora 006 during the Battle of Troop 2008. Yeah. And then you were promoted to your rank accordingly. I see. This guy was assigned as executive officer of the carrier FRSS Akhtar, and then you were given the commission of the FRSS Delta Aquilier. So he served his time and on the Akhtar, and then was given and then showed probably great service. He's enterprising and pretty good, and was given the commission for the Delta Aquilier. So that's really cool. Alright, let's continue. Now, I do have a job for my carrier group that I am going to send them out with, but we don't really have the possibility to send them just yet because of how stuff is sorted out. So, I think we're going to leave the episode off there, guys. I'm sorry we don't really get much to do, but I hope you guys did enjoy the in-depth doctrine talk, talking about the designs, doing ground combat design, stuff like that. And yeah, I really did hope you enjoyed the episode. I'll see you guys next time. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Really does help out. And yeah, bye-bye. And special thanks to members Ultigo1101, King Strozer, Lewis Netto, and Impassive 9001. Thanks to your guys' support. We're able to keep the channel going. I'll see you guys next time.